Let's cut to the chase. I know what it's like to spend countless hours on a video. Everything seems right. You watch all the YouTube gurus, you're taking all this advice, all these tips, feeling like this should work. This is a good video. And you upload, and maybe you get a couple views at first, maybe you don't, and you're just refreshing the YouTube studio and watching that video slow to a crawl. That feeling creeping up, you know the feeling I'm talking about, of helplessness, of hopelessness, of being lost, and deep down thinking that things aren't actually going to work out if nothing changes. I remember it getting so bad that I would have crippling anxiety to press publish on my video because I knew the performance would dictate the next 3 days of my mental state. And then I click upload and you're just refreshing studio. You're checking it all throughout the day. Maybe you get a little dopamine high because you got some good views that hour. Maybe you get that brutal punch in the gut when you realize the views have flatlined. I didn't know it at the time, but I was making 9 crucial mistakes that if someone would have just came in and told me I was making them, everything would have changed. And then finally, after years of struggling, I realized this. I made the right changes, and now I have a main channel with over 230,000 subscribers. I have a 6-figure business that got me beyond money what I really wanted, which was the freedom of being a creator. The time freedom, where I could work whenever I want, wherever I want. The location freedom, I can live wherever I want. And finally, the freedom of not being tied to a soul-sucking job where I knew that I could be replaced within a day, or the looming threat of AI replacing me right around the corner. So in this video, I will be breaking down these 9 mistakes. I have 9 harsh truths that you need to hear if you want this creator thing, this personal brand thing, to actually work out. Starting with the cognitive bias that to this day I have to constantly battle, and I see all of these creators, all of my students struggle with, and that is the recency bias. So something I see very common, especially with smaller creators, is they will upload a video and say it gets 100 views, 50 views, 5 views, maybe even up to 500 views, and they feel like it was a complete and utter failure, and therefore they should never try all the new things they tried in that video. And then they'll upload another video and it got 1,000 views, and they're over them and they, oh, I used yellow in this thumbnail, it got 1,000 views. I guess I use yellow in all my thumbnails from now on. And what was actually happening was a cognitive bias in which your brain tends to put far too much value, far too much weight on something they can easily recall, information, experiences that are fresher in the memory for it to recall, instead of looking at the overall situation, zooming out and seeing the big picture. For example, if you just watch the movie Jaws, you may think that shark attacks are more likely to happen than they actually are, where if you go look at the study, you would realize shark attacks are actually quite rare. It's the same thing that happens with creators. So what happens is over time, you're uploading all these different videos, trying all these different things, taking all these different actions, and all of a sudden something happens. What your brain does is it just tries to find the most recent event that somewhat correlates with it and places all of the weight, all the value, all the understanding based around this one singular point, almost completely ignoring everything else that has happened up until that point. And the core issue lies in the fact that you are overvaluing each video you make, which makes perfect sense. You put so much time investment, maybe financial investment, emotional investment into this video performing well, and thus if it does really well or does really bad, you base all your decisions moving forward based on that. And that is a major issue, when in reality, you need to view your content as seasons. Think about a TV show. It could be The Office, it could be Friends, Breaking Bad, doesn't matter. Typically with TV shows is they produce an entire season, and then they go and put out the season and they get feedback from the audience, and then they decide what to do for the next season. So if a season was really bad, people had all these issues with the characters or the actions or the plot or whatever, they're then going to turn around and make a much better season after that, because they have all this feedback based on all these different pieces of content they made throughout the season. Whereas with a creator, it's kind of like if one episode of a show was bad, so the producers decided, oh, well, we need to change all these different things. We can't do anything we did in that episode ever again. Let's change everything moving forward. And then they completely kill the show because they just keep trying random things and making terrible episodes. This is exactly why I would upload one video that was a 1 out of 10 doing so on. I was like, oh my gosh, my entire life has changed. I'm going to be a gazillionaire and change 1 million lives, get 1 million subs. And then the next video would flop and I would think, it's so over. I need to completely reevaluate my entire life decisions up until this point. When the truth is, if you want to make the best possible decisions, the more data you have to inform those decisions, the better. So instead of every video being a shot in the dark where you're trying all these different things, all these different topics, all these different styles of delivery and whatnot, you need to commit to a season of content where every video is following some kind of guidelines, some kind of topics that you've pre-established. And then after, say, 4 to maybe 10 videos, then you make a decision on if you need to stick with this and improve upon it or pivot. And not only is this better for your decision making, this is better for your mental health as a creator because you're no longer dependent on the last video's performance. You're zoomed out. You see this on the broad timeline where you're banking decisions off of the past 10 videos. Therefore, you're not getting emotional about one video flopping because you're more in the lines of, I need to get these next 10 videos out with these specific parameters. The next mistake is a result of a lot of creator gurus and just gurus in general telling people that you need to make a video every day. Consistency is king. The more you get out there, the more you'll get results. And you tend to think that, oh, okay, so the key to success is posting a video every day, or maybe 10 videos a day, or maybe 50 videos a day. I was in a call recently with a guy that was interested in joining my mastermind, and he was saying, I don't understand. I'm uploading every single day, and my videos are only getting 1 to 10 views. And he was so confused, so desperate for answers. He asked me, isn't that correct? And I had to go, well, no, not exactly. You see, the whole uploading every day or as frequent as possible does serve a purpose, but it's not what you think, because uploading every day does not guarantee views. It doesn't guarantee growth. It doesn't guarantee money entering your bank account. It's kind of like if you wanted to get into horse racing and you were showing up to the arena every single day with this crippled horse and wondering, I show up every day, I'm racing every day, and I'm not winning these races. When the answer was yes, you should be putting effort towards this every day, but you should be putting effort at home, training your horse, making it able to actually run and potentially win the race. Because honestly, posting every day has nothing to do with results. There are people that post every day that do well. There are people that post every day that do bad. There are people that post once a week that do really well. There are people that post once a week that do terrible and get 5 views. When instead you need to view that high amounts of volume, high amounts of consistency with your videos are not the tool to get the views, to get the things you desire. It's a stepping stone to developing the skill sets required to achieve those things. For example, if you're not good at speaking on camera, it would be amazing if every day you sat down and spoke on camera until you got good enough at it. If you're trying to get better at your hooks, it would make sense to write and record a bunch of hooks all the time. You will get better at it. That's how learning works, if you're consuming the right information, of course. But you cannot confuse that with, oh, I'm doing a thing every day. I'm supposed to get results from that alone, right? Wrong. I promise you. I know the gurus say upload every day. I know the gurus say you're one video away, but that's not how it works, because it's not a magical slot machine that if you just keep pulling it, eventually it's going to hit. So audit yourself as a creator. Take note of the current skill deficiencies you have, and then ask yourself, okay, will uploading every day or making a video every day or recording every day help me get better at this skill? Or am I just uploading every day because someone told me to and it feels like a good idea and I want the cheap dopamine of having another video uploaded and getting some views? And honestly, for 99% of educational creators, it makes 0 sense to upload every day, because you get to the point where you realize you literally cannot create content at the quality required for high performance if you're just churning out slop every day. Eventually, maybe you're posting 1 video, 2 videos a week and you're getting an income from it. Yes, you can have money to hire editors, to create clips, create short form, try these other things. But at this point in your journey, that is not the priority. This next mistake I have literally seen in myself and with basically every student that I've personally taught, and a lot of creators just in general that are struggling, and that is ego blindness. We're thinking that because you are a special little snowflake, you should get views because you're you. And this often results in, cutting corners on the packaging, cutting corners on the editing, cutting corners on the quality of your content, even though you, as a viewer, do not consume content with these shitty Canva thumbnails. You don't click on videos with bad titles. You don't give videos the benefit of the doubt because maybe they're special when you click and their audio or their video quality is trash. But our egos make us blind to these mistakes that we're making because we just think that we're so special and we deserve views. So I need you to hear this, because this is probably the single most important lesson that I've learned as a creator. And that is that it's not about you. The algorithm doesn't care about you. YouTube doesn't care about you. It cares about the viewers. It cares about the audience. And you may think that that's a bad thing. No, that is literally the best possible news, because YouTube, the creator economy, is a free marketplace. So if you learn how to build a strategy based around the audience, around the viewer, you will rise to the top. But this only works if you have complete and utter clarity on who your audience actually is. And it's not, oh, it's like people like me, it's anyone that'll watch my videos. No, you have to get specific, granular with this. You need a specific avatar that you have in your mind when you make your titles and thumbnails, when you write your scripts, when you speak to the camera. And that is why I have a free audience avatar generator in the description for you to get completely free. Fill it out and you will instantly have 10x the amount of clarity and thus 10x the amount of impact with your content. It's kind of like when I had this friend who was struggling to get any matches on a dating app, and he was like, I don't understand, man. I'm a good guy. I have my life together and no one's matching with me. So I took his phone, I pulled up his profile and I said, bro, your pictures are bad. It doesn't matter how good of a guy you are. They're not going to give you a chance because your packaging, your delivery is shit. But our egos get us so tied up in thinking, well, I'm a good guy. I'm special. I deserve this. I deserve it. It should be this way. Never use the word should, because it doesn't matter how things should be. You need to focus on how things are and play the game how it's supposed to be played so you can get the results you desire, so you can actually win. The next one, I'm going to be honest, even to this day, sometimes I fall for it and I have to check myself on it. And that is thinking that correlation equals causation. In that same call that I mentioned earlier with my friend, I remember he was also showing me all of a sudden we were scrolling through his old videos, his old thumbnails, and there was just this wall of yellow. And I was like, why are all these yellow? He's like, oh, I made a video that was yellow and it got some views. So I thought that yellow was the answer to getting views. Or another good example, I come from the self-improvement niche and I've seen this a lot where someone will put a more graphic image of a woman in the thumbnail and think, oh, I put booby in the thumbnail and it got views. So I guess booby is the answer to growing on YouTube, which I know sounds ridiculous when you hear it out loud, but this is literally how our minds work when it's trying to find reasons why videos did good and didn't do good. When you need to realize there are hundreds, if not thousands of micro factors that come into play on if a video is good, if a video performs well, and if a video doesn't. There is never one specific reason that caused any given result. There's always tons of factors going on. So the only way to bypass this and prevent yourself from falling into this trap is breaking things down into their core principles. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You could look into Socratic reasoning, which is a set of questions. I'll put them on the screen real quick. Or what I think is the easiest and most effective is asking yourself why 5 times. So for example, you would take a video that you used a yellow thumbnail and it got views, and you ask, why did this video get views? Well, it's a yellow thumbnail. That's what got it views. That was the new fresh thing. Okay, why do I think that the yellow thumbnail got views? Well, suddenly you realize, oh, I don't actually have a good enough reasoning to base my decisions around this that I thought. Whereas when you start to find the core ingredients and ask yourself things like, what makes a strong personal brand? What actually triggers the brain to give it attention? Because it's not a magic color. It's not a magic red t-shirt. It's not a certain font in a thumbnail. What makes a story engaging and emotionally impactful for the viewer? What's the difference between a video that gets a one-time viewer that watches it versus a video that starts a viewer down a journey of binging all my videos and becoming a lifelong super fan of me? Those are the questions that will guide you to the answers that will actually make an impact on your performance, on your growth, on your revenue over a long time horizon. Oh, dude, this next one drives me up a wall. It's when I ask someone about their niche or their topics and they say, oh, I just make videos about what I'm interested in. Oh, well, this creator guru told me that I am the niche, so I just kind of talk about whatever I want. And I call that the Peter Pan brand. So in psychology, there's this term called Peter Pan syndrome, basically used to describe a man who never fully transcended into adulthood, never really grow up, and thus they're socially or relationship-wise very immature. And thus a Peter Pan brand is someone who still has this immature mindset, often ego drive, like, oh, I can just make content about whatever the heck I want, people should watch it, and that will build a strong brand. No, it won't. But of course, yes, you are the niche, you are the brand, you are the business, and you can make content about your interests and grow and succeed. But the issue is people take that advice, they hear you are the niche, and they have these gurus selling them dream of like, oh, you can just make content about whatever the heck you want and it'll do well, buy my course, and they go and make content about whatever the heck they want. And there's no cohesiveness within the ecosystem that is their content. For example, my other channel is men's self-improvement, mainly around mental stuff like confidence, discipline, focus, things like that. So let's say in my personal life, I got into boxing and I was super into boxing. Would it make sense for me to go make a video right after, for example, how to focus more, to make a video called how to jab? Obviously not. But what I could have done is I could have made a video how to be more disciplined, and I could have told the story about me learning a new discipline and training with boxing. All of a sudden, I was able to put my new interests into the content while ensuring that it still is on brand for me. And most importantly, it is still what the audience wants to see. So the key to making videos that can grow your personal brand and that you'll still kind of like enjoying is understanding that it's not about picking the right niche, it's about picking the right audience. Because if you know clearly who your audience is, who you're making videos for, that wouldn't have even been, because if I know who my audience is and who I make videos for, it would never occur in my mind to make a video on how to jab, because I know they're not going to click. That's not what they're interested in. But instead, through persuasion, through effective storytelling techniques, I know how to take my interests, put it inside the packaging of a content around something I know they would click on, and then make it interesting to them. There is an art about making your interests interesting to others. So if you're just floundering around changing niches on a whim, just know you're being very immature. You're being a Peter Pan brand, and that only works if you're selling peanut butter. So I remember being a struggling creator. I uploaded a video, I put all this effort in. It seems like everything was perfectly aligned. It was truly a good video, and I'm watching it get some views. And I'm like, oh, it's happening finally. And all of a sudden, flatline. And I begin cursing the algorithm gods. Why have you forsaken me? And thus I wouldn't actually learn from the video's performance. I would make better decisions, and my channel wasn't growing because I was playing the blame game. And here's the truth that most people won't tell you. Yes, there is an element of, quote, luck, even though I don't see luck as real, I see it as probability, because I can see certain creators or certain videos that blew up, and I genuinely cannot describe to you why that is. Sometimes freak incidents happen and there's no explanation. I have nailed a video's title, thumbnail, the retention, everything about it, only for it to completely flop. And I have had videos that I was iffy on and thought maybe they're not that good, get hundreds of thousands of views. But trust me when I say that treating the algorithm like some mystical, evil entity, force, God that is out to get you is going to do nothing but ruin all levels of potential you have with your content. If you truly want to break free from the idea of luck or getting lucky, I can't stand it, dude. I saw in one of my recent videos like how to actually blow up your channel, and someone commented, it's all just luck. Complete and utter nonsense. Is by viewing any and everything about performance as simply probability. Because yes, maybe someone made a video that had 1% chance of doing well, and lo and behold, that 1% chance actually happened and it got a bunch of views. Just like I know someone recently that went and did a slot machine in a casino and walked out with $10,000. I have lost every single time I've gone to a casino and played slots. And so does 99.9% of people that goes and does it. So I'm not going to base how I view slot machines or gambling based off that one person's win, because I know the probability isn't actually in my favor. But what I can do is take complete responsibility over it and focus on, okay, how do I increase my probability of having videos perform well? And it's like taking this 1,000-sided dice that you kept rolling and praying on the luck gods that it lands on 694 because that's the magic number, and it never does. Whereas getting it to a coin flip, a 50-50 shot. And there are two types of people. Most people put all the blame on luck itself, and thus they're actually doing it to devoid themselves of any responsibility around how their content performs. They're always going to suffer. They're never going to experience growth. But then there's people who go too far on the responsibility side and view any and everything as a failure on their part. Like I said, I've had videos where I genuinely looked back and thought, I did everything right and it didn't hit. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to sit around and mope for days. I'm going to move on to the next fucking video. And I'm just going to keep being a student of the game, learning and improving, because I know that my probability score is ever increasing. And as long as I don't quit, I know that success is literally inevitable and undeniable. Because yes, if you have that 1,000-sided die, you may roll it all the time for the rest of your life and never land on that one magic number. But if you have a coin flip, yeah, you're going to get tails sometimes. So back in January, I hosted a free challenge just to help some aspiring creators. And basically within a week, we were all trying to make a video and get it out. And I gave a lot of it free education, free game to help them make it really good. It was dope. I actually had one kid, Caius, who went from 100 views a video to his next video getting 87,000. But we had a group chat, and I remember looking in the group chat and they were debating different platforms on free photo editing softwares to make thumbnails. And keep in mind, these are people who take this seriously, who opted into this challenge, who wants to turn content, personal brand into a career, and they were scared of spending $20 on Photoshop. Listen, I know everyone, for the most part, has $20 to spend on a software. It is literally the software that everyone uses. It has all the new features, all the new AI stuff, all the fancy gimmicks and bells and whistles to ensure that you make a well-edited photo and put all the right ingredients to make a good thumbnail. But instead, you're like, oh, maybe I could use Canva to make a good thumbnail. And that's because they are making the crucial mistake of refusing to go pro. You see, there's a spectrum that all creators fall on. On one end is complete and utter professional, and the other end is a pure creative. And the majority of people that get into this, including myself, fall pretty far to the right, pretty far towards a pure-blooded creative, a pure artist that just wants to create things. And that typically results in being very emotionally tied to your work. It typically results in only wanting to work when the motivation, the inspiration strikes. And while it is awesome and romantic and sounds like the scene out of a movie, it is the perfect way to ensure you never get the growth and results you want. Because I have spent countless hours continuously trying to push myself more and more towards the professional side, because the truth is, all of the biggest personal brands, all of the creators that actually get the money they want, the success they want, which by the way, isn't strictly views. I know creators that make 5,000 to 10,000 views per video and make life-changing money. And I know creators that get all the views and are still broke, but I'm talking pure success. Most of them fall on this side of the spectrum. And that is because think of a professional athlete. Think of a professional CEO of a business. Because they are professionals, they show up to work every single day, regardless of how they feel. They do not rely on emotions of motivation to get them to do the required work. In fact, they remove the need for quick emotional hits of quick, cheap dopamine from results, and they look at things strategically on a long time horizon. And they're not optimizing their content strategy for funsies, for happiness. They're optimizing it for results. Because the truth is, you can't view this as funsies. You are competing in a marketplace. And yes, this is a massive marketplace. Yes, it is exploding, and it is literally the best time right now to become a creator. But that doesn't mean that more and more sharks are not entering the water. So if you're not willing to be a professional, to show up every day, to do the required work, to make the required investments, you're going to get lapped. If that sounds unreasonable for you, well, maybe this whole creator thing isn't actually for you. Because don't get me wrong, I love this shit. This has been my dream for over a decade of my life, since I was like 11 or 12 years old, making videos on the first ever iPod Touch with the camera. And I'm having an amazing time right now filming this video because I'm really fired up and I love this shit. But some days are bad. Some days I sit at a camera for 2 hours straight struggling to figure out what to say, but I know I need to get the video done and out. But I do it anyways because I'm a fucking professional. And this is a harsh reality that the majority of YouTube gurus won't tell you. They want to paint this wonderful sunshine and rainbows picture of anyone can be a creator, anyone can be an entrepreneur, and they do that because they want the largest market, the largest amount of people to funnel into their content, funnel into their ecosystem, because that's more and more sales they can make on their courses, on their coaching, on their thumbnail course, whatever the heck they're trying to sell you. And if you know that this is what you want to do and you know that you're ready to go pro, you cannot make mistake number 8. For the majority of my journey as a creator, I was in a dark room, a pitch black room, feeling around, trying to find a flashlight, a light switch, anything that could get me some light, some clarity, some realizations, so that I could make content that actually gets results. And yeah, eventually you may stumble across a lighter. You may stumble across a match or a little glow stick, but you do not know how long you are going to have to struggle in the dark to get any shred of information or of feedback that can put you on the right path. And it's not guaranteed that you will. But imagine if you could have someone walk up to you and hand you a flashlight. Imagine if you could have someone to hold your hand and walk you to the light switch, because that's exactly what basically every single professional does. Every professional athlete invests millions of dollars, if you're like LeBron James or something, but invest lots of money on a coach, on a health expert, on programs, on how to be better at dribbling and shooting the basketball or whatever. And it's the same with college and trades and anything like that, because every high-level profession requires continuous advanced education. And this is literally one of the highest potential markets. It is exploding right now. What makes you think that this is any different? And that is why one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're transitioning into going pro is refusing educational investments. Personally, I've spent around $10,000 total on education in terms of like courses, coaching, consulting that has helped me got to where I am right now. And I'm fully aware that I will probably invest more and more down the line as my problems get more and more advanced. And I know what you're thinking, oh God, he's about to sell me his program. Look, yes, I have a program. Yes, it is literally the best one. I've consumed all the other ones. But look, if for some reason you don't like my face or whatever, or you don't have enough money for this or enough money for that, go find somebody that has got the outcome that you want to get and can clearly explain how they got there. And please invest anything you possibly can on that education. Because not only do you get the information required in a matter of days or weeks that would have taken you years to gather on your own, because the truth is we don't know, but you are going to get direct feedback, which is invaluable because we all have blind spots. I have blind spots to this day, and I need someone to call me out on them. You need someone in your circle, you need a coach, you need someone in your life to tell you when your shit stinks. Even Mr. Beast on his rise accounts a lot of his success to his little mastermind group he had with other creators. And this is so weird to me that there's such a big scarcity and limiting belief, or a lot of like negative connotations to investing in education. Because personally, I remember it was 2021, I had a little bit of momentum on my channel, and I finally saved up through working a freelance job the most amount of money I've ever had in my bank account. I would see $8,000, which was the world to me at the time. I felt like I was rich. And you know what I did? I didn't move it to a high yield savings account. I didn't put it in a Roth IRA. I didn't put it in some kind of retirement fund. I spent $5,000 on this camera I'm talking to right now and $2,000 on this laptop sitting next to me. And these two pieces of equipment that I spent $7,000 on made me six figures. Because I knew at the time, well, what else is this money going to do? I have this clear path I'm on. I'm not planning on getting off this path anytime soon. I'm not planning on failing. So I need to put it back in. Let's speed up the timeline here. Let's pull the finish line that's out there in the future. Let's pull it quicker and quicker into the present. Yeah, so I literally just Googled the average cost of a year of college education, and it's telling me it's $38,000 a year. People will put themselves in severe debt over a year of education, and yet creators act terrified at the idea of spending a couple $1,000s a year on this career they want to actually make happen. And look, I can promise you, as someone who's had money come in and money come out, that shit is going to leave regardless, unless you go and park it in some whatever savings account. And sure, when you're 70, it doubled. Woohoo. And the biggest mindset shift that'll help you with this is understanding that you're not actually investing in a class. You know, you don't invest in a college. You don't invest in every little class that makes up a semester. You understand that all of these classes you are taking, content you're consuming, is an investment in yourself. Hormozy has this term I'm going to steal because I really like it. It's like, you don't want to invest in the S&P 500. You want to invest in the SME 500. So to those guys that were talking in that group chat and that free challenge that were terrified of spending $20 a month on Photoshop to make decent thumbnails for their channel, and like, oh, you could use the Canva free tool, or you could use this Pixlr free tool. All I have to ask you is, do you not think that you can do this? And look, I fully understand. Some of you have literally $0 in your account. I feel you. I was literally there, and I understood that, okay, until I get to the point that I have some form of income from a job or from results of the creator career, I just have to invest my time, which sucks. I'm not gonna lie, because there was a period of time where it took me a couple years to learn what I could have learned in a couple months if I would have just invested in myself. And the issue is, a lot of the marketing that people do is, oh, this is this magic thing that's gonna solve all your problems. If you stop seeing it as that, like, oh, well, which class is the magical college class that's going to make me a doctor, and see it as, oh, I'm consuming these because I'm investing in myself because I know that I am on the path to becoming a doctor, then everything starts to make more sense. And if you don't think I'm too ugly to learn directly from me, of course, you can check out Audience Alchemy in the description. But now, mistake number 9. So to be honest with you, this is beyond a mistake, because this is not a little mistake that you make and can recover from. I've seen this kill people's dreams, and it almost killed mine, because there was a point where I was a freelance video editor, which was great because I got to edit and help other people with content, but I also got free time to work on my own content. But I was reaching a point where I realized that the YouTuber I was working for wasn't making enough content, and thus I was about to be let go. And I was getting decent views. I had a little bit of a personal brand, but the truth of the matter is, if you rely on ad revenue, you know that that sucks. You are a slave to the algorithm. You are a slave to the view counts. And think about it, business people that do seminars and maybe they sell from stage or whatever, they would spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to fill a room or an arena with 1,000 people that they can teach and talk to and maybe pitch on something or help in some way and monetize. And YouTube, for 1,000 views, will give you $1 to $3-ish. And you know, there's a step above that. You can get sponsorships, but they're still paying you on a per view basis. It's just a little better than ad revenue. But the thing that makes the difference between creators that are slaves to view counts and creators that can get maybe 5,000 views, 1,000 views, 10,000 views, whatever brand scale they actually want to achieve, but make a life-changing amount of income regardless of the view counts, is turning yourself into the business. Having a business that runs in the background that is constantly generating you money from these high quality views, so you don't have to rely on view count. Because the truth of the matter is that you need to understand, if you want to do this, is that it's not about view count, it's about views that count. And if you're getting views that count, you can get a much smaller scale of them and build a completely life-changing business off the back end, like I've done personally. But I cannot explain this business model to the level that you need to understand. So if you click the video on the screen right now, I explain exactly the one-person business model that you as a creator should do if you want to escape slavery of relying on view counts and actually make this thing a career without needing millions of views or going viral or any of that nonsense. Okay, here's the video. I think you should watch it. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.